Well, welcome today's guest. His name is Atiba de Souza. I met Atiba over a year ago, and it's hard to miss him. When you're in a room with Atiba, you will know that you are in a room with Atiba, and we have the pleasure of having him in our room today in Leaders and Legacies. He is known as the Super Connector and Video Content Superman. He believes that the true power in business lies in building relationships grounded in pure intentions to connect, to share, and to serve. In fact, he has turned networking into an art form. At the core of Atiba's philosophy is the conviction that relationships are the true bedrock of successful business ventures. Atiba, it is so good to have you here today on Leaders and Legacies. Thanks for joining us.
Greg, buddy's back. Great to be back with you, as always.
Yeah. Well, so we met originally in Digital Marketers M3 Mastermind, and I've had the chance to hear you talk several times. And you always bring great insights.
Oh, thank you.
And as a matter of fact, I knew you were coming to Austin because I got an invitation from you saying, "Hey, let's grab dinner."
Yep.
And so for those that are listening, when Atiba says that he brings networking to an art form, what came in the email was a video message that was addressed to me. It actually had him calling out my name, and it was inviting me to dinner. And it's hard to imagine something more warming and more welcoming than that. And so the challenge with Atiba is he has so much wisdom to share. We're not going to be able to cover everything today. The thing that we're going to talk about is a method for scaling teams. He said, "You know what? This is Leaders and Legacies, and I think I have a message that will be important." I've actually had the advantage of hearing this, but what I haven't heard is there's apparently a story behind this that began in a hotel room somewhere.
Yes. Yes, there is. So it happened, and first, thank you for those kind words. Really appreciate it, and I appreciate being here, my friend. So it happened just over 3 years ago when the world was just opening back up after COVID, and I went to my first in-person event, right? Conference, San Diego. Excited because the world had opened back up, was gone for a week. At the time, our team was 6 people, six. Four of them were core, two of them had just started in the last couple of weeks before that. So they were really, really new, but four really key people. Okay. At the beginning of the week, before as I was leaving, I had a meeting with everyone. I said, "Hey, I'm going to be gone. Here's what we're working on. Here's what needs to get done. Here's the progress to be had this week." Typical thing that you do as a leader of an organization, as a manager, as a boss. Most people would say, "Yeah, you did the right thing," right? I thought I did. I went to the event, had a fantastic time, spent time visioning the next 3 years and the growth that the company was going to go through over the next 3 years and where we were going to go and all the wonderful things we were going to be able to accomplish over the next 3 years. And I came back to the team, fresh vision in mind, to share it with them. And I started with, "All right, let's do a recap of the last weekend, this stuff that you got done." And to a person, they all said, "Oh, we were waiting for you. We got to this point and we waited for you. And we didn't finish anything on the list."
Wow.
Now,
Wow.
yes.
The challenge I would have at that moment, um, I I think I would have to turn around, walk out the room, go for a run, um, maybe go chop some lumber, and then come back and have the conversation.
Right? And I bet that everyone listening to us right now, you'd probably feel this exact same way. Yeah, I was pissed off. I was hot because here I am with this grand vision and we can't get through a week. And I'm thinking, how are we going to get there? What in the world are we going to do? Where did I go wrong? What in the world? This is not good. And so, yes, I didn't go for a run. I didn't chop any lumber. I did bite my tongue in the meeting and got through the meeting. And my head was hurting. Matter of fact, my head is hurting right now remembering it. It hurt that much. But here's what I want to do, though. Here's the fun part. Let's fast forward 3 years. Remember, I told you there were 4 key people.
Yeah.
In the last 3 years, one of those key people left. He left because his aunt died, left him a bunch of money, and so God bless him. Good for him. The other 3 people are still with me today, and they have become department heads of different divisions in my company 3 years later.
Wow.
So they didn't change. Guess who had to change?
And for those that are listening, Atiba's pointing at his chest.
Yes, yes, sorry. Yes, I'm pointing to me. I had to change. I had to change. And that's one of the biggest things. And we'll get into some of this today. But we as leaders have to realize when we're not getting what it is that we want, when we're not getting what it is that we need from our teams, 99% of the time, it's our fault. We
Mhm.
need to grow. We need to change. We need to be better.
You know, if we just clip that, there's amazing wisdom. And I would say that you don't even have to be the leader of an organization. But if we could look at every opportunity where something goes wrong as an opportunity to say, what was in my power
Yes.
to have affected a different outcome?
Yes.
That's the essence. I mean, that's at the core. That's an
Yes.
essential ingredient of transformational growth.
Yes, it is. It is. The challenge, though, is we get so wrapped up in ourselves and in situations that we can't see the past the end of our noses. And it makes us very insular and very selfish in the way we look at things. The hard part coming out of that conversation was me actually having to leave, if you will, my own body and look at the situation and objectively actually see it as if I wasn't part of it, to then find the way forward. And listen, it's not easy. There's
Yeah.
nothing about this that's easy. It's hard, it's difficult, and I go through, and it's a continual process of growth. Okay, and it's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart, but that's also why we chose to do what we do. That is also the essence of the legacy that we're creating, because we are doing the thing that nobody else wants to do, that nobody else dared to do,
Yeah.
to make a difference and a change. And that is where legacy comes from.
Yeah. Absolutely. So what did you do?
Okay, so this has been a labor of love, y'all. And it's not been easy, and I'm not at all trying to tell you that what happened here was I had that ridiculous experience with the staff, had this moment of seeing myself in clarity, and all of this came to me. No, 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 that's not at all the way it worked. It took about a year and a half. Okay, took about a year and a half of work for what I'm about to share with you, and in that time, I reached out to I heard a message from um, one individual whose name is now slipping my mind. It will come back to me, y'all. But here's what he said. Here's what he said.
We'll
That
call him Gandhi. For we'll just say you were talking to Gandhi.
that's way too kind for him. He's not. Yeah, it's way too kind for him. Um, But here's what he said from stage that I heard, and it hit me like a ton of bricks, because it happened a couple months after that meeting in the hotel. He said, in his business, and he's running $100 million business, he replaces himself every 120 days.
Hmm.
He says he doesn't work more than 2 days a week, and he's replacing himself every 120 days. And I said, hold on, you're telling me, because that's what he said, my key to success has been this. This is how I've grown to $100 million. I said, well, I'm not at $100 million. And this is what you did. How the heck does that work? What does that look like? Because clearly you've gotten your staff to do stuff when I'm not getting my staff to do anything. And you're replacing yourself. So it hit me like a ton of bricks. So I had that on one hand. And on the other hand, I had conversations with Richard Lindner from Digital Marketer. And Richard shared a ton of things with me and taught me a ton. And it was his lessons plus the fight for 120 days merging together that led me to develop what I have now started calling the case method. The case method. And what the case method does, y'all, is it helps you with those areas of your business that you think only you can do. See, we're all there. We're all in that place where we think we're artists. And maybe you never use the term artist to define yourself, but you have used the term, I'm the only one who can. I'm the best at. And so that's why it always gets left to me. If you're there in your business, and we all are, the case method helps you figure out how to take those things that you think are art, a repeatable process, and turn it into a repeatable process. The things that you think that you just innately do, and show you how to turn it into science that you can then teach to your team and have them perform at your level. That's what I've developed.
That's powerful. How does it work?
Real simple. And this is the thing. This is not rocket science. And that's the thing that hit me. And most things aren't, right? So here's how it works. I want you to think about something that you make the statement, only I can do this. I'm the best at this. That's why I have to do it. I can't hand it off because nobody does it like me. Find a thing that fill in the blank there, right? Of whatever it is in your business that you feel that way about. And I want you to write that down on a piece of paper. Then, after you've written it down, I want you to stop and just for a moment, ask yourself, what are the steps that I go through to pull this off? And just write down whatever comes to mind. Whatever that may be. Maybe tools that you use. It may be conversations that you have to have with certain people. Maybe information that you need. Whatever it is, just write down the steps. That's the first piece, okay? Now comes the fun part. I want you to find someone on your staff that you believe should, based on their trajectory in your company, be able to do what you do. Okay, so maybe you're an excellent salesperson and you have to do all the sales in your company, but you have an assistant. Well, the assistant should be able to grow into being a salesperson. Great, identify that person. And you're going to say, hey, listen, I do this thing and only I can do it right now. I've written out the steps, and here are all the steps that I've written out. Here's the outcome that this process should have that would say you did it right. And I want you to go off and do it. So you're telling someone else, I want you to go off and do it. You give them the steps that you wrote out and tell them, go do it. Now, Craig, let me be honest with you. They're going to screw it up.
Yeah.
Okay? They're going to screw it up. And you expect them to screw it up. Matter of fact, I tell my staff, I expect you to get this wrong. And it's okay. It's okay. Because it creates a baseline. So they're going to go off and do the thing, whatever that thing is. They're going to come back to you with their output, their result, and it's going to be wrong. And you're not going to react. And you're not going to say this is wrong. Instead, you're going to ask them 4 questions. And this is the case method. 4 questions, Craig. You ready for this?
Yep.
Okay. Question number 1. What challenge did you have when doing this? What challenge did you have when doing this? They're going to tell you, well, you know, I found it really hard to do X or Y or Z. They may have a bunch of different challenges that they list for you. Your role, listen, take notes. That's it. Say nothing. Don't comment. Don't say, that shouldn't have been that hard. Don't say, oh, I get why that's hard. Don't say, oh, that's because you did it wrong. Don't, nothing. You say nothing.
Okay.
I remember when I finally went back and presented this to for in front of Richard Lindner after I pulled all this together. Richard got on stage after me and said, I was with him until he said, say nothing. That would be so hard. And yes, it is. It is very hard, but it is crucial, and you'll understand why in just a moment. It is crucial that at this moment you say nothing. You just write the notes. Just take in whatever it is that they say. So that's question number 1. After you get through that, you go to question number 2. And question number 2 is you ask them to articulate the steps that they took in order to produce the output. Don't care that you gave them steps. It doesn't matter. Don't ask them to go through the steps you gave and how did you do it. No, ask them to articulate exactly what they did and write down what they said.
So C is for the challenges they faced.
Yes.
A is ask the steps they took.
Articulate. Yes.
Articulate.
Yes. Yes.
Yep. Okay. I'm with you.
Yes. Okay. A, so you're articulating the steps. You're not saying anything. You're not commenting. You're not saying, oh, that was right, or that was wrong, or nothing. Say nothing. You're just writing the steps. You're taking it all in. The most that you can ask them would be anything else.
Okay.
That's it. Okay. Bite your tongue, put tape over your mouth, whatever it takes. If you're doing it on Zoom, put yourself on mute. Turn off the camera. Okay. Don't say anything. Step 3. Step 3 is we study and deep dive. That's the S in case, study. Now, what do we study? Well, we're going to go back to step 2 and the steps that they articulated. And you're going to choose a couple points where you know what they did was wrong. And you're going to choose a couple points where you know what they did was right. Now, pay attention here. I didn't say go through the entire thing step by step. No. You choose a couple where they did it right, a couple where they did it wrong. And
Okay.
you want to deep dive and ask them, okay, so in this step here, step 4, and you're not going to tell them if they did it right or wrong. Okay. Step 4, why did you do it this way? What were you thinking about? And you want to deep dive into what they were thinking.
Okay, so let's back up here a little bit.
Sure.
So C is challenges they faced.
Yes.
A is articulate.
Yes. S is study.
S is study.
Yes.
And then our last letter E.
But we haven't got the E yet.
Oh, okay. All right.
We're still on S, right? We're still in this study phase. We're going to go through a couple steps they did right, a couple steps they did wrong. We want to understand the way they think.
Okay.
Okay. Here's why. Because at the moment in time when they're going through those steps and they're telling you the way they thought about it, it's going to illuminate to you, oh, wait. That's the wrong way to think about it. That's not how I think about it in this way, which then illuminates to you the process that you are going through in order to actually get to your outcome. You see, you think what you do is art, but it's actually science behind it. You just do it so automatically that you don't even realize the science.
Yeah.
And so by asking them these questions and listening to them, you're going to learn more about yourself and the way you do things so that you can then give it back to them even better. That's step 3, right? That's the S, question 3, right? Study. Number 4. This one I found by accident. The first 3, I kind of understood why I asked those questions. This 4th one was an accidental question that I found that has proven to be extremely valuable, Craig. What was easier, that's the E, than expected? Easier than expected. And you say, well, Atiba, why are we asking that question? So what happened was I had a young lady who went through this process, and it was about the third or fourth time going through the process. So you iterate through this to help them keep getting better, right? And you articulate better your steps. And there was a part that she got really right, and I actually didn't go through it in question 3 with her because she got it right. This was the third time she got it right, and I happened to ask this time what was easier than expected, and she brought up that area. And what I learned was she got it right. She got it right 3 or 4 times in a row, and it was sheer luck.
Huh.
What she was doing was actually very, very wrong. And it just happened to be luck of the draw that she got it right.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. And so sometimes we get those little gems that come out, and it helped me make the process better. Sometimes the things that are easier than expected are exactly what you expect, and they did it right and they got it. Great, no problem. But I found some real gems by asking question number 4. So that is the case method. Now, the key is you don't just do it once. I hope you heard that just now. We're going to iterate through this. So we did it once. Okay. We didn't get the outcome expected. We learned. I go back. I update my document of how I do it and say, okay, let's do it again. Let's do it again. And we keep doing it. We keep iterating through it, and we watch. Every single time they get better. We're at a place now in the company where my managers are all doing this with their teams. I don't even have to. It was 2 weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago. I was reading an article, and that article led me to an idea about something that we could do on YouTube in tracking, right? And I sent a message to my head of content about it and said, hey, we can, blah, 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 blah. We should look at this and this and this. And she said, we've already iterated through that and have already tested it, and here was the outcome.
Hmm.
Like, okay, well, I'll go back to eating cereal. But that's what you want as a leader.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is how you get it.
And I think, one of the things that you were touching on, when you're really good at something, you think everybody should do it the way that you do it. And one of the things I like about the method that you laid out is it provides the opportunity for you to discover another way of getting
Yes.
the same result. And if you're humble enough, you may actually realize that you have somebody working for you that saw something that you didn't.
Yes. Yes. That is absolutely a byproduct of this. And something that I have seen firsthand myself, right? And the key term that you use is humble. You've got to be humble. And that's really what question 1 and 2 forces you to do
Yeah.
when you're just shutting up and listening. Because in that process of just shutting up and listening, you can discover so much.
So will you give a quick recap? What are the 4 letters? CASE.
Yeah. Yeah. So case, CASE is a case method. So C is what challenge, C, challenge did you have in doing this process? A is we go through and we articulate the steps. Ask them to articulate, how did you do it? Write it all down. Questions 1 and 2, you say nothing, you just listen. Question 3, we study and deep dive. Choose 2 things they did right, 2 things they did wrong, and study them and deep dive. Why did you do it this way? What were you thinking about? What was your thought process through this? Deep dive with them. And then E, what was easier E, than expected? Easier than expected. That's the case method.
Well, Atiba, that's a really simple framework. I see the power in it. And I
Thank you.
love that vision of replacing yourself every 120 days.
Yes. Now, let me be completely honest. I'm still working on that. I haven't
Yeah.
got it yet, right? But it's a path. It's a process.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it even that piece, and I'll just touch on that a little bit too, has caused me, knowing that I need to replace myself every 120 days. How often do we take on something new? There's a new initiative, and we as the owner, we as the leader, take it on, and we own it, and we do the work, and it adds to our ever expanding plate. Well, that mentality has also caused me to realize that, hey, something new's coming in, we do need to do it, but I don't need to do it, and
Right.
figure out who does.
Yeah. Well, this is Atiba, this has been really powerful. I really appreciate you coming on Layers and Legacies and sharing this. Um, and just for clarity, I mean, one of the things that we talked about before we hit record was, what's your business? And you're like, hey, I'm just here to share knowledge. And that was
Yeah.
so powerful. But could you take just 30 seconds and tell people who you help and how you help them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I run an agency called Client Attraction Pros, and we serve the medical industry. More specifically, we serve doctors who are leaving insurance-based care for cash-based services. That's our market. And what we do for them is we help them create videos that build know, like, and trust so that when patients walk through the door, they are primed and ready for a purchase.
That's awesome. Well, and as somebody who spent 3 months in the hospital
Mm,
and many times in doctor's offices afterwards, it's a system that needs to change.
yes.
And thank you for being a part of that change.
Oh, you're welcome. And sorry you went through that. And that's a lot of why we're doing this. You know, it's time
Yeah,
for better care.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's a wrap for today. Thanks for joining us on Layers and Legacies. Thanks, Atiba, for bringing such powerful insights.
Thank you.